It's time to explore the world according to Glenn. I'm Kevin Jacobsen. Glenn Close is my favorite actress, and this show is all about exploring the career of one of the finest actors of her generation. Each episode, I'll be joined by a guest as we dive into one of Glenn's movies, TV shows, or stage productions, going chronologically through her career, discussing her performance, and assessing the project itself. And today, we're talking Glenn's supporting performance as an American author in Paris in the romantic dramedy Le Divorce.
Time nominee Glenn Close, motherfuckers.
My guest today is such a joy to chat with, especially about Oscars. He is the mind behind Fritz and the Oscars, which is an incredible YouTube channel breaking down past Best Actress races. He has joined me on my Best Actress series to talk the years 1949, 1989, and 2018, the latter of which was, as everyone knows, a big one for Glenn. Welcome to the show, Fritz.
I'm sweet time Best Actress guest, mother bleepers. Yeah. Hi, Kevin.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a joy to be invited to this. Congratulations on doing this. There are only a few actresses who are worth of this kind of dedicated journey, and Glenn Close is definitely one of them, and you are the right person to do it. Loved listening to all your episodes so far. It's a real joy. I have not seen everything that Glenn has done, but I learned so much from it. And shout out to Gels. Active lesbian has found its way into my daily vocabulary.
Oh my God. She's going to be thrilled to hear that.
There's always some way to include it in a conversation.
Yes. Lately, I've been integrating. You're not a whore, are you? From things you can tell just by looking at her. So, yeah, so much good stuff from our Glenny. So, before we talk Glenn in the film we're going to talk about today, Le Divorce, would love to know more about your relationship with Glenn Close overall. If you remember your origins with her and when you took notice, what you like about her, and if you have a favorite performance from her.
Well, I think like everyone, I love Glenn Close. She's a fantastic actress. She can literally do anything. You have said it on your podcast, and you and your guests have said it on your podcast so often. She always understands the assignment. Subtle, over the top, comedy, drama. She can do it all, and she's always a joy to watch. We will talk about this also for this movie. She is always innocent, no matter what is happening in her movies, and she is always Glennicent, yeah.
Yep.
And of course, having listened to all your guests so far, I thought, when did I become aware of Glenn Close? What is my earliest memory of Glenn Close? And was difficult, so it wasn't 101 Dalmatians. I did not see that as a child. I only saw that later. It wasn't like Oscar movies because I also started watching them later. I also did not see some of the stuff that is famous in the US. So I remember when you did the Sarah Plain and Tall episode. At the beginning, I think you said something like her iconic performance in Sarah Plain and Tall. And I was listening. I thought, okay, oh, Kevin is being sarcastic today. And then I listened to the podcast and I learned, oh no, this is actually a very famous movie, apparently.
Yeah, I guess it's cultural.
Yeah. Also, I've never seen it. Might have been The Simpsons, but of course, I when I was a child, I only watched the dubbed version of The Simpsons, so also did not hear Glenn Close in that one. It was probably Hook, but obviously I did not recognize her.
Right.
But I was obsessed with Hook as a child. So I thought, what's the earliest memory I have of seeing Glenn Close? And then it kind of hit me. And then I thought, okay, can I tell this and not lose my Best Actress lover or Glenn Close fan status? And I thought, okay, I just have to try it. So I've grown up in the 90s, or grown up the teenage years in the 90s, and there comes a time when you become curious about stuff. And it was a great time to grow up in Germany in the 90s because we usually only had these public television channels that were like financed with tax money. And then at some point, we got all these private TV channels that did commercials and did a lot of crazy stuff. And like on the weekend, they always had these little sex movies in the evening that you could watch. And they also showed all of these American erotic thrillers. Shout out to William Baldwin. Very grateful for his work. And obviously, also at some point, you become aware of Michael Douglas because you see, oh, there's this Basic Instinct movie. What is this about? But of course, you obviously cannot see it in cinema as a teenager. But then at some point, they must have shown a movie called Fatal Attraction. And I thought, oh, that's with Michael Douglas. It's an erotic movie. Let's check this out. And I still remember, don't remember anything from seeing that movie back then, but I still remember when I was very small, very small, a teenager, okay. But I think I'm so old that I can say I was very small. Still remember that scene when Glenn walks into the elevator and closes the sliding door. That's still the one scene I still can remember from back then. So yeah, my first memory of Glenn Close was when I watched Fatal Attraction and tried to catch a glimpse of Michael Douglas's butt. I'm sorry about this, but everybody has a different Glenn Close origin story.
That is a unique one. Yeah. And I love
but that. She left an impression. She left a bigger impression than Michael Douglas's butt. I have to say this.
Wow. Well, yeah, I would tend to agree, honestly. I love that so much that somehow you worked your way all the way back to just being one of her most iconic performances, ultimately. Even if you went about it in a different way than checking her out specifically, you ultimately discovered this incredible diva actress.
Yeah,
so,
love that for me.
Love that for you. I love this so much. That's so great. Well, unfortunately, we're going to be talking about a movie today that is not renowned for Glenn or really in any other way, unfortunately. But I'm sure we'll still have fun breaking this one down. We are talking today about Le Divorce, which is Glenn's other feature film of 2003 following The Safety of Objects. And this originated with the 1997 novel Le Divorce by Diane Johnson, which is sort of a take on The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James. This was first developed for a film adaptation in 1997, the same year the novel came out, and Diane Johnson recounts how her book was optioned by another company before James Ivory had a meeting with her, and there were business situations that led to then Merchant Ivory purchasing the rights, and so their frequent collaborator Ruth Prower Jabvala wrote the script, so it was in fact a Merchant Ivory production. So for casting, Natalie Portman and Winona Ryder were apparently main contenders to play the two big sisters here, but both had other commitments. They would later work together, of course, on Black Swan. Would have loved to see that version, what that would look like, but they were then replaced by Kate Hudson and Naomi Watts. And then with Glenn, this was a long time coming for Glenn to finally work with Merchant Ivory because, as some people know, all the way back in 1984, she was originally set to star in their film The Bostonians, but she couldn't make it work because she was doing The Natural, and she couldn't do both. And so that was replaced by Vanessa Redgrave. And she was also courted by them when Merchant Ivory was hoping to adapt The Portrait of a Lady, but there were issues there when Jane Campion wanted to adapt it as well, which ultimately is the one we got. And finally, all the way in 2003, Glenn gets to work with Merchant Ivory. They clearly had wanted to make it work for decades, but it finally, you could say, came together here, even though the results may be a little more mixed than that would indicate. So Le Divorce is a romantic dramedy set in Paris that begins with the arrival of Isabel Walker, played by Kate Hudson, a young American woman who is visiting her sister Roxy, played by Naomi Watts, who is married to a Frenchman named Charles Henri, played by Melville Poupeau. And right as Isabel arrives, Charles Henri breaks up with Roxy without explanation, setting Roxy on edge pretty much for the rest of the film. They soon discover that Charles Henri has a mistress, Magda, and he wishes to get a divorce from Roxy. Another element to this is that Roxy owns a St. Ursula painting by Georges de la Tour, which the sisters' American family would like to have in their possession, but French laws make it difficult for them to acquire it. Meanwhile, Isabel gets into an affair with the married brother of Roxy's mother-in-law, played by the great Leslie Caron, her brother Edgar, played by Thierry Lemort. And so complicating matters further is that the husband of Charles Henri's mistress, played by Matthew Modine, is deeply enraged about the affair and continuously is stalking the sisters to confront them about it. And as for where Glenn comes into play, she is playing an American author living in Paris named Olivia Pace, who Isabel works for, helping her clean up her papers, kind of operating as her assistant, and Olivia imparts a lot of advice to Isabel. So, yes, a lot going on here. We have so much to get into, Fritz. Tell me your thoughts on Le Divorce, what you knew of this movie before, what you think of it now, and what you think of Glenn's performance.
Yeah, as you said, there's so much to say. I have to warn everyone right ahead. I have written down like 4 pages while watching this movie. Most of what I've written down is questions. Always like, why is this happening? What is going on here?
Right.
Poor Glenn Close having to wait 20 years to work with Merchant Ivory, and then she gets Le Divorce. I knew nothing about the movie.
Just her luck.
Yeah. I knew absolutely nothing about the movie, so when I'm not an actress completist, so I have not even seen every single Katharine Hepburn movie. I have seen all Louise Reiner movies because it's quite easy. I have
that's not hard.
I have seen all Julie Holiday movies, so stuff like this, but I have not seen every Glenn Close movie. And I don't know, when you sent me the list, I was going over it and I thought, I have never heard of all these movies. At some point, Glenn Close filmography, there's a kind of movies that don't exist or movies that Diane Warren would write a song for.
There you go.
Feeling.
We are in that era right now.
And so I just clicked on the Wikipedia page, and when I clicked on Le Divorce, the first thing that popped up was this 90s rom-com movie poster with Best Actress nominees, Kate Hudson and Naomi Watts. And I thought, okay, this will either be one of the worst movies or one of the best worst movies. And I will probably enjoy it in. One of those assumptions is actually correct. And I don't know. Then I watched the trailer, and there was this, again, the trailer has this the first 10 seconds, I was thinking, is this Emily in Paris?
Yeah.
And
I thought of that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you hear the cast, and you think, okay, and then suddenly you hear it's a Merchant Ivory movie. Okay. Then I was like, okay, maybe it's totally different than I was expecting. Who knows? And I mean, just to sum it up right ahead, I haven't hated a movie so much since Damage, the 1992 movie with Miranda Richardson, which interestingly enough also has Leslie Caron in it, but Leslie Caron innocent.
What do you have against Leslie Caron?
I don't. She's innocent. She should have picked better projects during her career, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This movie. It's even difficult for me to say why I hate this movie so much. I mean, you already said the plot, and when you say the plot, you think, oh, there's a lot going on. This sounds very interesting. But at the end, this is one of the most pointless movies I have ever seen, because there's nothing that is happening in this movie has any purpose or anything regarding to the characters that are in it. There's no reason why Naomi Watts' character is a poet. There's even not a reason why Kate Hudson and Naomi Watts are sisters. There's no reason why they are constantly throwing in new characters with absolutely zero purpose on the plot. There's one scene in particular. I don't know if the scene summarizes what is wrong with the movie, but again, there's Leslie Caron finding out that I'm sorry, I will always call him by the actor's name. I have no idea what the characters are named. There's Leslie Caron finding out that Kate Hudson has this affair with her brother. So Leslie Caron calls her children and tells them, "Oh, Kate Hudson is having an affair with my brother. We should do something about it." Then they all talk about it on the phone. Then the son says, "I will call him." Then he calls the brother, says, "You're having an affair with Kate Hudson." Then they talk about it. Then the brother says, "Leslie Caron should call me if she has a problem with this." Then Leslie Caron calls the brother and tells him again, "You are having an affair with Kate Hudson." So we have the same conversation 3 times in a row. And again, they are all completely purposeless, because at the end, he has no serious interest in her. He constantly says we have to keep the affair a secret. He's telling this to her while they are while they are visiting a concert and are out in public.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then everything with this crazy ex-husband. I don't know. This is just,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So other than that, did you like Glenn?
Glenn Ascent. Absolutely,
Glenison.
absolutely Glenison. I wrote down. I actually
Mm-hmm.
screamed. I screamed with joy when she appeared for the first time
Me too.
because
I felt like it was a sitcom, and I was like applauding because the kooky
yes,
neighbor arrived.
because by this point, I mean, it's only. I think the movie is only going on like 15 minutes when she appears for the first time, but it feels like 2 hours. And
Mm-hmm.
there's already so much happening at this point. I mean, Naomi Watts' husband has already left her, but there's so much drama going on without any setup. So we have never seen Naomi Watts and her husband before. There's absolutely no reason to care for them. There's absolutely also even Kate Hudson and Naomi Watts. We don't even. She tells at the beginning. She tells this guy at the airport, "Oh, I'm visiting my sister," and then we get don't even get a reunion scene of them.
Right.
I was so disappointed when they went up in the apartment and Naomi Watts showed Kate Hudson her room and she opened the window and said, "Oh, you have such a nice view," and we did not see the Eiffel Tower. If it's an
Right.
American movie set in Paris, I expect to see the Eiffel Tower from the apartment. I wanted
Give the
Kate Hudson.
people what they want.
Yeah, I wanted Kate Hudson to do like this Sarah Jessica Parker scene when she sees the Eiffel Tower.
Right.
And I don't know. And I mean, Glenn Close pops up the first time when Kate Hudson and Naomi Watts are visiting the ex or going to the ex-husband because he wants, I think he needs his contact lenses. And again, I mean, it's a very dramatic scene because Naomi Watts is obviously very upset that her husband has left her. But again, we don't know anything about these characters by this point. It's impossible to get in any kind invested into what they are going through. I'm very sorry to all Kate Hudson and Naomi Watts fans. I have to say I love both Kate Hudson and Naomi Watts. I love both of them, but they are absolutely dreadful in this movie, both of them.
Hmm.
I have no idea what Kate Hudson is doing. Naomi Watts seems bored out of her mind the entire time. And Glenn Close, she's not like this comedic scene stealer, definitely, but she is a breath of fresh air. She's the only one in this movie who feels in any way alive or in any way happy to be there. And
Right.
I don't know, she shows up and it's like you almost think she might pity Naomi Watts and Kate Hudson and think, "Oh, you poor dears, what are you doing here? Let me show you how this
Mm-hmm.
works."
Yeah.
And she doesn't show up often, and again, her character is also completely pointless. There's no reason for this character to be in the movie, if we're being honest.
Mm.
I don't even know why Kate Hudson needs a job. We're never told. We're always told
Fair point.
She comes to Paris to visit her sister. Why does she need a job? Why is she
Mm-hmm.
staying there for so long?
All fair questions.
Yeah. But yeah, at the end, the movie gives us, I have to say, Glenn Close, she looks absolutely fabulous in this movie. This long hair is
Mm-hmm.
absolute banger.
Yep.
And we get one scene where she has her long hair, where she is wearing a very chic black hat, and she says, "S'il vous plaît, mes amis." And almost
Mm.
just for this one moment, it's almost worth it.
Yeah. Just watch that one scene. You
Yes,
don't have to watch the whole movie. Yeah.
yeah, just watch Glenn Close being French. It's more than enough.
I think so. Wow. What a time this was watching this. I can't say that I enjoyed this as much as I was hoping to. I had heard it was not great, to be fair. I had heard that the promise of the poster, which, as you were saying, has Kate Hudson and Naomi Watts kind of looking cute and fun, and it's the French flag colors. All of that was not indicative of the actual film, and that is very much true. This is not a fun, frothy romantic comedy. It has a lot on its mind, I think, and is clearly aiming for a kind of sophisticated, comedy of manners, like a Ernst Lubitsch sort of throwback thing. But there's something about this, well, there's a lot of things about this that really don't work. Like, starting with the fact that, as you kind of are saying, I don't even think Kate Hudson and Naomi Watts seem to have any chemistry as sisters. Like, I don't believe them as sisters. I don't, like, they seem like possibly good friends who lost touch, maybe, and are now reuniting. I just don't see a lot of familiarity between them. And I guess on paper, both of them make sense in these roles, like with Kate being like the cute, wide-eyed, bubbly one, and Naomi is like a little darker, a little more cynical. And so I get it. And I think on a story level, it feels like there is a lot of potential within this script. it just also feels like James Ivory doesn't know exactly what story he wants to be telling here. Like, it feels like he's wanting to do that sophisticated comedy of manners that I was talking about, something a little more elevated, but it has the sort of rhythms of like that mainstream rom com, and just the comedic timing is so off to me. Like, it's not funny really in any way. Also, the look of the film is so muted and sort of dour at points. And on top of that, I do think it really leans into stereotypes of being like, here's what Americans are like, here's what the French are like. And yes, obviously certain stereotypes are there because there could be patterns that are rooted in some truth, I suppose. But it just feels so binary in how like every American is like very emotional and about like sex and relationships. Every French person is a little more cold and a little more lax, and it just never really does anything interesting with that. It just seems very broad to me as a film, and it can be okay if it's like entertaining you and the performances are charming, but that's not even true here. So I feel like I struggle to find any investment or any kind of grounding in these characters. So it's just really hard to like get any sort of emotion out of their struggles, quote unquote, because I'm just like, I hate all of these people. Why should I care?
Yeah, I actually wrote down nobody in this movie has any chemistry with anyone else. The only one who has chemistry is Glenn Close with herself.
Wow.
Yeah, I wrote
Absolutely.
Glenn Close seems to be totally content the entire time. I think she's just having fun to be in a Merchant
Yeah.
Ivory movie. Very strongly believe that nobody in this cast read the script before they accepted to do this. They just heard it's Merchant Ivory. Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading this thing from the New York Times where Glenn herself said it's a very charming, clever, complex script about the clash of cultures and how different cultures perceive each other. It's like a modern Henry James story, totally. I guess it makes sense, again, like reading it in just a script. It's just the way it's executed.
Yeah,
No.
the entire movie is so off. This is never funny. This is never charming. This is also never really dramatic.
So what are we left with?
Yeah, we're left with a cast of actors who have absolutely no idea what they're doing. I mean, there's no reason that Stockard Channing is in this.
Ugh.
The-
Yeah.
and
We have 5 Best Actress nominees in this movie. Now that we have Kate Hudson as a nominee.
yeah,
5. Leslie Caron, Glenn Close, Naomi Watts, Kate Hudson, and Stockard Channing. It's
yeah,
incredible.
and so many names, and suddenly like there's BB Newworth. But why is she there? Where is she coming from? Oh, now we have Stephen Fry. Okay, sure, let's throw in another character.
Yep.
I mean, we don't have developed any of the characters so far, but let's throw in a couple more. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I already said this, but there's no reason that also Kate Hudson and Naomi Watts also have a brother. There's no reason for
Pointless.
that this family is so big. This would have been enough if just the mother, only Stockard Channing had come over to Paris.
Yeah. Would have simplified it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we suddenly spent like 10 minutes watching them decide what they have for lunch.
Yeah. That is an interminable scene. But for me, for Glenn, it is a small role compared to a lot of the performances I've talked about to date on the show. But I do think she is a scene stealer. I think she brings some real, maybe not gravitas, but just like some sort of grounding that is missing from a lot of the film, as is Leslie Caron, to her credit too. But with Glenn, it's just such a fun look, sort of like you said, with like that long, like salt and pepper hair and the glasses. And, I had seen a screenshot of her in this film before, but seeing her in action with that hair that she has never sported before in a film really threw me for a loop. I was like, I love this woman. I feel like I know everything about her just by looking at her.
No, yeah, and you totally believe you. I think she's a writer. You believe that she's a
Yeah,
writer. Much
totally.
more, yeah. You don't believe that Naomi Watts is a poet, but you definitely believe that Glenn Close is a writer. You believe that she has lived in Paris, that she knows more about the culture there than anyone else. As you said, it's a very small role, but she's the only one in this movie who is alive. She's the only one in this movie who is an actual human being and who doesn't feel like she's just reciting lines that never make any. I mean, her lines also don't make any sense, and her character is completely pointless. But it never feels like this when it comes to her.
Yeah, I
It,
agree.
it
And
sounds
that,
very cliche since we are on a Glenn Close podcast, but really, she's the only good thing that comes out of this movie.
yes, this tends to keep happening with a lot of these movies in the early 2000s of things you can tell just by looking at her and the safety of objects. And now this, I think she is just always doing her best,
Yeah.
even if the
I
film around her isn't living up to her
Yeah.
excellence.
I don't want to say that she understood the assignment because I really don't think that this movie gives her an assignment. But
Yeah.
I feel like she looked at the script and said, "Yeah, I can make this work. In some way, I still can still make this work," and she did.
Yeah, I mean, like that first scene where she's meeting with Roxy and that she meets Isabel there too and offers her that job. She just really lights up the scene and just makes you want to see more of her. She has that kind of like bright energy that's very, it's just delightful. And you can sense she's kind of like this maybe slightly bohemian, eccentric type, this American artist who's kind of like attracted to all of the freedom and the art of Paris. You know, you can like just envision this, who this character is, and it's not too much of a stereotype, but you can, like I said, sort of sense just from watching her, like she has lived a life. She
Yeah.
feels more defined as like a three-dimensional person than anyone else in the film,
Oh, definitely.
really.
Definitely. I have zero idea if Naomi Watts really has lived in Paris for a couple of years or if she just dropped onto the set. I have
Mm-hmm.
zero idea what Kate Hudson is doing there. There's this one scene when Naomi Watts and her husband are the divorce lawyer and she storms out and she yells, "Bastard!" And I think they
Mm-hmm.
even cut away from her when she's yelling it. And I don't know, at that moment, I thought, if this movie had been made in the 80s, imagine Glenn Close in the Naomi Watts role and like Jessica Lange in the Kate Hudson role.
Damn. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great casting. I would definitely prefer that than what we got here. All due
Yeah.
respect to Kate and Naomi.
Yeah.
But they
Again,
like
no disrespect to them, but yeah.
they seem a little lost at sea with
Yes.
their characters here, and I think Kate has kind of just been given the direction to just sort of be innocent and bubbly in her usual sort of Kate Hudson persona around this time, and Naomi has been given the direction to be depressed, and that's about it.
But
And no real characterization within those
no.
things.
But I don't even think that Kate Hudson is very bubbly or alive. She's always also so passive most of the time.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember the scene at the beginning when Naomi Watts tells her, "My husband left me." And Kate Hudson is really sitting there and she's like, "What?" And
Yeah.
that's basically her reaction.
Yeah, I guess I should say maybe it's not bubbly, it's just kind of like innocent and sort of naive, perhaps. you know
Yeah, I don't know. And I absolutely hated it that at the end she got this cliche where she has an affair with this guy and she agrees to the conditions at the beginning. You know, it's just casual, we don't fall in love. But of course, at the end, she is very sad because she loves him. And
yeah.
again, why does she love him? Why is the guy a right-wing politician? Is there any reason for this?
Yes, and what is it about her watching him spout this right-wing rhetoric on the television, and we
Yeah,
see a shot of her watching, kind of like entranced by his sort of rhetoric, that she's like, you know what? I want to be with that guy.
yeah,
I would like to explore why she is drawn to him in that way.
yeah. There are so many interesting questions, but we never get
Yeah.
any answers.
No.
And I mean, this is the kind of movie that makes me start nitpicking really a lot because it's just so annoying. But
Yeah.
when she meets the guy for the first time and they meet in this restaurant at the Centre Pompidou, sorry for my pronunciation. At this point, she has been in Paris for a couple of months because Naomi Watts is now visibly pregnant. And
Yeah.
they are up there and she's like, "Oh, is this Notre Dame?" And he's like, "No, that's not Notre Dame. This is Notre Dame, this very big church over there."
Yeah.
And I mean, I know she doesn't have to be doing sightseeing all the time, but when she has been in the city for a couple of months, I don't know.
Yeah.
She could
You would
know.
think that would be
Yeah.
one of her priorities to see within the
Yes.
first few months, at least. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of weird little choices in this. I mean, I just want to kind of keep talking about some of Glenn's scenes because obviously that's what this angle is, but it's
Yeah.
really, for me, the most interesting elements of the film is like one of her other scenes is when she's just, again, sort of Isabel is helping her clean up her papers The way that Glenn just like peers over her glasses as she's looking over her papers and talks to her is just such a fun little detail. And also the way she talks about how like all French mothers are crazy about their sons. She says she wants to write a book about like all the customs of French women and the sort of joie de vivre that she has when she says the scarves alone, an entire chapter, is delightful. I love that. And describing all the different ways of wearing a scarf. Like I find myself so much more like invested whenever she is on screen, even if I'm not like a fan, which I am. I would find myself kind of like, oh, this woman who seems to like know about all the ways of the world here. And she talks about like buying a house in the coast of Maine and dreams about it every night. And she loves her dog, Flaubert, who looks like he's the size of Glenn's dog now, by the way, Pip, that she's had for several years. So yeah, all of this sort of brings me to the idea too that we have talked about sometimes of Glenn being a great character actress who became a leading lady star. And when I watch her in this kind of a role, I really see what Glenn's career could have been like if she didn't have things like Jagged Edge or Fatal Attraction or Dangerous Liaisons or those leading roles in the late 80s. And if she just continued as a great supporting actress, scene stealer, like this tracks with like what I imagine more of her career could have been.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. I mean, this is really the only character in the movie where you feel that they have a life before the movie happens and after the movie happens. They don't feel like they are just written specifically for this. And yeah, I have to say, I mean, obviously I've seen Glenn Close's Oscar-nominated supporting performance where she was nominated for an Oscar, but I have not seen so many movies where she was actually a supporting actress. And so I did not know how I would feel about her, but it's really, I don't know what's the comparison. It's a very Geraldine Page-like feeling where you have one performer, even if they only have one scene, but they just pop and they work.
Yeah,
and
that's a great comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love for Glenn that she. I mean, I hated for Glenn that she had to be in this movie, but I love it that she was able to really get something out of this.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why when we get to like other scenes of the movie that are without her, like when all the stuff with Roxy is just so miserable to me watching her, all due respect. Like she is really going through it and I do sympathize, but it's so dour watching so many of her scenes. We see obviously she's pregnant, but she's also furious at her husband wanting to separate, and they have this very difficult relationship. I guess there is some characterization of her feeling a little bit of a complex as this American-born woman living in France, feeling like she still doesn't quite belong. For some reason, she also says she opposes divorce on all levels. Yeah. Like it like personally offends her, I guess, the idea of divorce, which I don't really understand. Until it doesn't. Yeah. But just all of these tonal shifts are so poorly structured. They feel so clumsy to me, how we go from like this heightened dramatic scene of Roxy and her husband arguing over whether or not to get a divorce to then this kind of lighter, bouncier scene of Roxy and Isabel getting their family painting assessed that's like so much more poppier, and Bebe Neuwirth is there and she's great, but it's just like, I don't know. I just feel this lack of a center to the film. Like, I feel like it's just kind of a lot of tonally mismatched scenes assembled together more than an actual story.
Definitely. I mean, you start at the beginning, you think, okay, it's about these two sisters. Then it's about a broken marriage. Suddenly it's about a painting. And I mean, we don't even, with Naomi Watts' character, we don't even know. I mean, at the beginning, she's like, oh, my husband has left me. What will his family say when I visit them for lunch? And I think, why do you have to visit them for lunch? That's his family.
I don't understand why they keep visiting them for lunch. I just don't.
I mean, they obviously don't like her. And, and why does she even have to lie to them? I mean, I would understand if she lied to her own parents, but why does she have to lie to his parents?
I wish I knew.
Yeah.
I have no answers for you because the movie doesn't provide them either. I think
and I mean,
also,
we haven't even. Sorry,
go ahead.
I just want to say we haven't even talked about the worst thing of the movie yet. The ex, or not the ex-husband, the husband.
Yeah.
I think you could write an entire book about this.
Are you referring to the jilted husband who his wife is in an affair with?
Yeah, and
Roxy's
Yeah,
husband.
the
Yeah.
angry husband who for some reason decides to stalk the sister of the woman, no, the sister of the wife of the, God, do I get this in English? She's the sister of the wife of the man his wife is having an affair with. I don't, it's
Yeah.
complicated, but for
Yeah.
some reason he's stalking her.
Yeah.
He's not stalking his wife. He's not, I mean, he later does, but no, we never see him stalk really violently his wife or the man she's having an affair with, only his
Yeah.
wife and her sister. And
Yes.
they don't even seem to mind very much.
Yeah. It seems like it's okay in a
Yeah.
general, but yeah, I don't know if that's even really properly explained. Is it just that he kind of wants them to understand what's happening and like have someone to talk to, I guess? But just the way he's going about it is very shady. And to me, sorry to say, but like it seems worse than what the affair is, what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, the
What
first
he's
scene,
doing feels like more of a criminal offense than an affair.
yeah. I mean, at the first scene, he's really threatening, like kind of threatening Kate Hudson's character. And she reacts so nonchalant, like this doesn't care. And the next time she sees him, it's like, oh, it's you. Hey. And I don't know
Yeah.
if I would see him again for a second time and he would again corner me like he does. I would show some kind of reaction. And then, of course,
Yeah.
I don't know, they drag him out of this poetry reading, and nobody seems to even notice. And Naomi Watts just keeps reading.
Yep. And Roxy's reading this very on the nose poem about love and between a husband and wife. and but I enjoy Glenn. Again, I enjoy Glenn's presence in that scene. And is I think that's where that's where her character is beginning to suspect that Isabel is having an affair with a man of a certain age because of her handbag, which Edgar has this habit of giving all of his little mistresses and girlfriends a Kelly handbag after Grace Kelly.
It must be the most famous handbag in the world because even the people who
Yeah,
don't know about the background are all like, oh, it's this bag.
everyone recognizes it.
Everyone
Yes.
recognizes this bag. Yeah.
It's a very interesting world we've created here. I don't know. I think that's where, isn't that too where she and Edgar kind of are reconnecting her, Glenn and the Edgar character of like suggesting she knows all about his habit of buying
Yeah.
the women,
She
you
draws
know,
the she draws the bag in the book that she is signing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where she's indicating to the audience that she was actually one of his mistresses
Hmm.
back in the day as well.
Ooh. But
So,
can you tell me if this has any purpose in the plot of the movie?
uh, the best I could do is she's kind of warning Isabel about him at a certain point, but like that's about it. That's really the only connection to anything of substance in the plot.
Yeah. And I mean, the whole warning her would make sense if he had more interest in her, but he's obviously just for him, she's obviously just an affair.
Yeah,
And
right. So that's why it's like it's not that serious
no.
ultimately, which can sadly go for a lot of the movie. I do really enjoy Leslie Caron's bit of acting when she meets with Isabel for tea. No idea why they're meeting, but she notices the red Kelly bag that Isabel has, and it kind of washes over her the significance of this
Yeah.
because she of anyone should know like what Edgar would do in these situations, and so yeah, we get that whole sequence you mentioned earlier of her immediately calling up her family and kind of like got to whip Edgar into shape, and we get three of the same conversations. I mean, I think there's a kernel of an idea in this sort of scene that suggests a more compelling film of like how the film is emphasizing that these symbolic things are so superficial that they also carry a lot of meaning at the same time, like with the painting or with the handbag, and that like there are these little customs that kind of casually can have a lot of power, and maybe they shouldn't, maybe they should, and it's just like these little choices you make or don't make with these little items, these customs can casually ruin someone's life.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's really fully explored.
I was constantly thinking like a Robert Altman movie. They also have so many characters and so many plot lines, but they weave together so beautifully, and you always understand all the characters.
Yeah.
And then imagine like Gosford Park or Nashville, and imagine this would not have worked in any way, and you have Le Divorce.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. For me, it really just further goes downhill when we get to the point of Charles Henri taking away all of the items from their old house, and like that's the separation, and Roxy is just sinking further into a depression, which results in her attempting suicide, which I think, I guess in Naomi's performance, she is definitely communicating from the start that she is deeply unhappy. So it doesn't come out of nowhere, but it does feel like such a dark turn for what this movie is. And it also just feels like such a cheap plot development because I don't know if anything really comes of it in a way that is like explored in an interesting way.
No, they never bring it up again. I mean,
No.
even her whole family is coming over, and I mean, I can understand that you have a certain let's not talk about it or let's not pressure her on it, but it's never in any way brought up again. I mean, it's not like one of these cutesy suicide attempts you have in movies like from the 40s or 50s where a person is like
Mm.
has a very intense stare and somebody stops them. I mean, did she cut her wrists? Or I think there was
Yeah.
blood. She was alone
Hmm.
at home. She's already passed out, so she meant it. And
Yeah.
nobody ever mentions it. And she also never mentions to her husband that, the husband of the woman you're having an affair with is stalking me. He's threatening me. She never mentions this to anyone.
Yeah. It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
And of course, when Charles Henri comes by and sees that what she's done, he's kind of like, I don't know how you could do this to all of us, which is obviously such the wrong approach that, it's hard to describe how wrong that is. The idea of him putting the onus on her
Yeah.
and not attempting to understand where she's coming from, and then bitching and moaning about how she's blaming him for this, like everyone else blames me for everything. I don't know. I just can't stand that man either. Like,
No.
I'm always like looking for someone I can latch onto here, and I just can't do it.
No.
Even Leslie Caron's character isn't really sympathetic about it either.
No.
She seems to think of it as like, oh, just another problem to worry about.
But she's at least bitchy in an entertaining way.
Yes.
I mean, when Naomi Watts and her parents are over, and, and Naomi is preparing to make this whole speech about, I think she wants to say how much she loves all of something like this, where again, like, why are you even there? There's people hate you. And she says like two words, and Leslie Caron immediately interrupts her to say, oh, the cheese is not good. Everybody spit
Yeah.
out the cheese.
That is funny. But then we get to that whole subplot with the parents flying in from America to see them, but
And
more
the
importantly,
brother.
to get the painting. And the brother. Sorry, I forgot the brother again. But that scene where the family goes out to dinner or lunch, it becomes like a whole other movie. Like it's suddenly like this silly, dysfunctional family kind of movie, squabbling over what to do with the painting and marriage and children and arguing about whether or not they should tip the waiter. Like it truly becomes like a different movie at that point. So
Yeah. I also thought it was kind of funny when the brother at the end is like, "Oh, this food is so expensive," and before that, you saw the kind of food they give them, where you're like, "Okay, this looks like the most expensive food you could ever order in
yeah,
a restaurant."
yeah, they don't know what you're expecting. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, and then Stephen Fry shows up, and
sure.
of course, then there's also this other character, the wife of Edgar. She also shows up at some point because we don't have enough
Yeah.
characters yet.
I mean, it really is like a Robert Altman film, but without any of the balancing of characters at
Yes.
all. Yeah, there's like 20 characters here. But we get to a point of, I think Isabel sees a picture of Olivia and Edgar together, kind of like clinging to each other very tightly when they were younger. And that's where Olivia Glenn has this great little line of saying, affairs with younger women or a younger woman and an older man are like fornicating with God, which is quite a line, which I think gets Isabel thinking, kind of reassessing if this is what she really wants. Not that I really care about what she's going to do about it, but
Yeah. But even when you think about if Kate Hudson begins to wonder if this is what she really wants, at the end, he is the one breaking up with her. It doesn't feel
yeah,
like she
so it
actually
doesn't matter.
it doesn't actually feel
Yeah.
that she wants to break up with him.
No. I mean, I don't know what she really wants at all in
No.
anything. So, and I wouldn't be surprised either way, no matter what choice she makes, which to me indicates a poorly written character, honestly. I think
Yeah.
she's even more poorly written than Naomi Watts' character, to be honest.
I mean, for me, the highlight of a poorly written script is if we jump a little bit ahead when the Matthew Modine character by
Yes.
accident finds Kate Hudson and her mother walking around in Paris. I know Americans think Europe is very small, but Paris is still a very big city. So that the chance that at this moment in time he drives around with a taxi and just happens to see them walk by. Like the laziest bit of writing you can come up with.
Yeah, it's I can't defend it. It really takes such a wild turn where Charles Henri and his mistress are doing something in public, and that's where Matthew Modine's character, the jilted husband, murders them.
Yeah.
It's
Takes
a
a
crime
sudden
of
turn.
passion, as they say.
And can we talk about how did the body of the husband get into Naomi Watts' house?
Great question.
Did he bring it there? Because why? I mean, Naomi Watts even says it makes no sense that he is here. He hasn't lived here in months. So yeah, it makes no
Yeah.
sense. Did he carry it there? Did he want to bring it to Naomi Watts? But if he wanted to bring it to Naomi Watts, why did he put it in the garbage and hid it there?
Yeah. All, again, valid questions. It's just also such a dark tonal shift that completely comes out of nowhere. Completely.
And
Like,
and it's intercut with these two French police, this policeman and this policewoman sitting in a car and flirting with
yeah.
each other.
Bantering. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're really like, oh, these two characters are dead now, but let's watch these two
Yeah.
this policeman and this policewoman get at it.
Yes.
They're doing
And
what French people do.
I guess so. Is that the purpose of that? Because I had questions. And look, I know that this guy was clearly troubled before this, and that is relatively set up, but it's just such a dramatic shift that it doesn't feel earned from a narrative perspective. And from there, we're seeing him like demanding to see Roxy to give her an explanation of why he did what he did. And truthfully, at that point, I don't know why he would care about giving her an explanation. I think his concern should be getting the hell out of Paris.
Yeah.
But
And then, of course, when he cannot find Roxy, he thinks, oh, then I just explain myself to her sister because that's
yep,
the next best thing. And again,
yes,
nitpicking, but can we talk about how he sees them walking next to him on the street?
hmm
And Kate Hudson and Stockard Channing, need to get in line to get onto the Eiffel Tower, but somehow they arrive almost at the same time. So I don't know what he was doing all the time while they were waiting in line. And then, of course,
yeah,
the best part is where he is running up to the first platform, non-stop running without showing any.
yep,
He's never breathing. He's never doing anything. I walked up. I walked up to the first platform. It's not half of the Eiffel Tower, but it's still a lot.
yes. Going to the Eiffel Tower, wielding a gun, and cornering this poor family
Yeah. And I think
who
my
really have
favorite.
nothing to do with it.
No. And my favorite part is really they are sitting there. He has a gun. He
hmm
basically is holding them at gunpoint. He locked the door, and then he's seriously sitting on the floor and saying, "I need to see a therapist."
Yep.
And then he's handing the gun to Kate Hudson and basically saying, "Throw it over. Nobody will ever find it." And I'm like, "This is the
Yeah.
Eiffel Tower. This is I don't know. If you throw it down, it's in Paris. I'm sure somebody will find it." But of course,
Yes.
they have this very cute way to what they are doing with the bag. But this
Yeah.
entire scene, I don't know.
It's deeply unserious.
Yes.
Uh, it's also just fully not believable. And Isabel, I guess, is convincing him to give up the gun and, yeah, gets it in her bag and sends it flying over where it floats around like a red balloon throughout Paris. I guess that's an homage to the red balloon. I don't know. And
At the end, I was prepared for anything. When it gets sucked into this pipe, I always
Yeah.
thought it would, because then the next scene is the auction, where the auction of the painting. I always thought it would fall off the ceiling and hit somebody in the face, because at this point I was expecting anything.
Honestly. Yeah. Somehow it hits Glenn Close in the face. Oh my God. And we get some narration towards the end from Isabel saying that this guy was sent to one of those fancy French prisons, uh, where I guess it's not as intense. And yeah, we immediately cut from there to Isabel and Edgar breaking up. It's just so unbelievably chaotic. And they don't even talk about it afterwards. Like that, to me, that whole sequence just feels like a nightmare in the editing room, and they could not figure out how to land this ending in a proper way. And so they're just like, put in some narration and maybe it'll smooth things over, but like, it is not smooth.
No, I mean, even during this whole kidnapping scene, I mean, Kate Hudson again, she's sitting there on the floor. She looks so bored, and then she's like to somebody next to her,
Yeah.
That's Magda's husband."
Yeah.
And I'm like, what
That
is
was so funny. I'm sorry. Like, I laughed fully at that, and I don't think I was supposed to be.
Yeah,
That's his wife.
he killed those two people, but I'm sure it will be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Very silly. And the painting is ultimately sold to the Getty for 4.5 million euros,
Yeah.
which is then given to Isabel and Roxy's family. But by that point, I wish it had just been removed from their custody entirely, because I feel like this family does not deserve this painting. They do not deserve these riches. I don't care about these people. I don't like these people.
I mean, can you imagine having a movie where Sam Waterstone and Stockard Channing are the parents and you don't care about them?
Right. Not at all. Not even a little bit.
No.
So that's Le Divorce. It is a very messy, very messy movie where I do like I truly I understand the actors looking at this script, even for all of the different elements here. I could see what they would think this could be, but what this is just very poorly executed.
Yeah.
And it pains me to say that as such a huge fan of Merchant Ivory.
Yeah.
But like, I just feel like their best work is when they are doing period pieces. And this is a contemporary piece. And it just seems hopelessly either out of date or like they just don't know what they're doing, sadly, in
Yeah.
this world.
Give me Emma Thompson 100 years ago,
Yeah,
and I will be
that's all we
happy.
want.
Yeah, that's all we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any other stray observations you wrote down from your 4 pages of notes that we didn't get to that you wanted to mention?
As I said, it's mostly questions, but I think most of the
Yeah.
plot things that bothered me I have mentioned.
Yeah.
I think the was it the final scene of Glenn Close when she is with Edgar at the store? That was
Yes.
very nice, and again showed that Glenn Close really is the only one who brings this movie to life.
Yes, that's when they both realize they're both buying Isabel a scarf, which is another one of Edgar's rituals when breaking up with a woman. And yeah, as she says, it's such a classic Glenn delivery when she says, a purse at the beginning, a scarf at the end. There's that kind of withering tone. So it's very Glenn. She fills in her character's history more than really anyone else in the film.
Definitely, 100%. Glennisant.
One last thing. Yes. One last thing I wanted to read because I just found it kind of funny was from that New York Times thing that I found about this movie, which I'm just going to read directly from the article. It says, between scenes, Miss Close had taken up Olivia's habit of speaking franglais. Quote, we always had French around the house, she said. Miss Close's grandfather ran the American hospital in Paris. Her father worked as a doctor in French-speaking Africa. She went to a French-Swiss school for 2 years, and she has an aunt who has lived in France since the age of 18. Quote, I'm playing like a young version of my aunt, she said, who has a great understanding of French culture, but remains, I don't want to say deeply American, but ...
Yeah, and I'm
I
sure
like that she's playing a younger version of her aunt, and
yeah, and I'm sure that's more I'm sure she put more thought into her character than anyone else in this movie.
She really did. Yes. So that's that. Shall we get to the release of Le Divorce?
Yeah, I'm very curious about that.
Okay. So Le Divorce received a limited release in the US on August 8th, 2003, before going semi-wide on August 29th. And it then played in early September at the Venice Film Festival. But for that week of wide release, it peaked at number 14 at the box office, netting about $1.6 million from 700 theaters. Other films out that weekend include Spy Kids 3 Game Over, The Italian Job, My Boss's Daughter, American Wedding, Uptown Girls, The Medallion, Seabiscuit, Freddy vs. Jason, Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, Open Range, SWAT, Freaky Friday, and the number one movie that weekend, Jeepers Creepers 2. So quite a few mainstream comedies, a lot of crowd-pleasing films in there, and this was not a crowd pleaser for anyone, really.
It did much better than I would have expected.
Yeah, it ultimately made $9 million in the US, $12 million overall.
Okay.
So I would guess a lot of people going to see this were not pleased with what they got compared to how this was advertised in the poster or the trailer. Feel like a little bit of deceptive marketing was happening here, you could say.
A little bit.
You know? Yeah. And the reviews were pretty mixed, with a lot of complaints about the inconsistent tone and the fact that it wasn't very funny, and a feeling that it didn't really live up to the high standard of Merchant Ivory. And the only awards the film won were at the Venice Film Festival, where James Ivory won the Wella Prize, which no longer exists, but it apparently honored excellence in the portrayal of women on screen, something of that nature. And Naomi Watts also won for her performance here and for 21 grams. Yeah. So I would guess that that was more for 21 grams than this. But other than that, it was kind of forgotten by the end of the year. But do you have any other thoughts on why you think the film didn't really connect with audiences or anyone?
It's pretty awful.
Yeah, the quality of the movie.
I'm really sorry. I'm very sorry to all the Le Divorce fans out there. Let me know why you love it. Maybe you can convince me. But I feel we have talked about this movie probably more than anybody has talked about this movie in the history of humankind.
Yeah. That's what we do here. We talk about movies that haven't been talked about at length like this before, really.
I think only a Diane Warren song could have made this complete.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, what would the song title of this song be for Diane Warren for Le Divorce?
That's a good question.
She would just have to shoehorn some French puns in there. She loves to do very on the nose kind of lyrics.
Oh yeah. Oh, I have to think about this. Maybe something with voulez-vous. I'm sure she could come up. She could come up with something.
Love in Paris. Yes.
Yes. Oh.
And just very basic.
I mean, as you said, if Naomi Watts won anything for this, it's probably was that they were thinking, oh, she had another movie that year. Maybe let's just throw it in as well. But I mean, there's not a single category where I would say the movie was overlooked here.
Right.
I mean, we talked about Glenn Close, that she's the best thing about this movie, but I still would not say that this is an Oscar-worthy performance.
No.
But again,
certainly not.
Not her fault. She's just given nothing to do.
Yeah. Nothing really is Oscar-worthy here. And I think the tonal balance really is what made it so unsatisfying for people expecting like a frothy Kate Hudson rom-com. Like, this is the same year as How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. And, like, she kind of had created a lane for herself in this era that, like, what they got here was not what they were looking for.
Yeah.
And just, like, this is mostly a drama that includes self-harm and a hostage situation and arguing over the rights of a painting. And so I don't think it really connected with a lot of people, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't even know I mean, I haven't read the book, so I don't know how close it's staying to the book. But yeah, it's not funny, it's not dramatic, it's not romantic. Maybe if you cut half of the plot and just maybe focus on if you focus on one of the sisters or just maybe throw
Yeah.
out the painting, this could
That
probably
damn
be
painting.
yeah, this could probably be a romantic comedy with two sisters and what they are experiencing in Paris, but
Yeah.
that's not what they
Sure.
gave us.
Right. So, on that note, let's get to our final segment where we're going to rate Glenn's performance on a very specific scale. So, thinking about her performance and where this sits in her career, would you say that with her performance as Olivia Pace, she's ready for her close up, which is to say one of her best performances? Is it low Glenergy, not one of your favorites, not an essential Glenn watch, close but no cigar, somewhere in the middle, or a secret fourth category? Is she serving in silence, which is to say delivering a great supporting performance?
Well, she's not ready for a close-up, pains me to say this.
Yeah.
She's certainly not low Glenergy because she's the only one bringing any Glenergy to this movie. It is
Yeah.
too insignificant for Close But No Cigar. So serving in silent feels like the absolutely perfect category for this. Maybe we can. I personally add a fifth category. I'm sorry, I add Glenison as a category where I just say
Okay. That's good.
she's surrounded by an awful mess of a movie, but she is in no way to blame for any of this. So for me, she is Glenisantly serving in silence.
Wow. Beautifully said. Yes, I think she is serving in silence here. I think she manages to escape this relatively unscathed, you know. You could argue if you want about the wig, which we didn't really argue about, but like, you know, it's a different look for her, but I love her vibe. It's such a fun character actress kind of performance, like I said, and she shines whenever she's on screen. And I can't say that about pretty much anyone else in the movie outside of at times Leslie Caron, but even she kind of sinks a little bit with this. So yeah, she is once again serving in silence, and I do like that idea to add in a fifth Glenisant category because we're probably going to have a few of those as well as we move forward. So, yes, Fritz, thank you so much for joining me. Sorry it couldn't have been for a better movie, but I think we had fun breaking this one down.
Definitely had. Thank you so much for having me. Sorry if I ranted too much about this movie.
It's okay. You had a lot of feelings,
Yes.
and it's healthy to externalize those feelings rather than having them fester. So you have exercised this movie from your consciousness, and now you can move on with your life.
I move on, yeah. Gonna watch Dangerous Liaisons to
Yes,
rid
palate
myself of
cleanser.
it. Yes.
Yes. Well, where can people find more of your great work on the internet?
You can find me on Blue Sky with Fritz and the Oscars, and you can find me on YouTube with my channel, Fritz and the Oscars. I know my videos are long, but maybe you want to check them out.
Listen, my Best Actor series regularly went over 3 hours per year. And so I think anyone who listened to that show will get a lot of enjoyment out of your videos because you really go way in depth, even more so than I did in my show. So highly recommend that to anyone listening if you love the Oscars and Best Actress most of all, which you should.
Yeah, listen.
That is the most important category.
Yeah, listen to Kevin.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening. You can find me at Kevin_Jacobsen on Twitter and Instagram, just Kevin Jacobsen on Blue Sky. You can listen to my Oscar themed podcast, And the Runner Up Is, for coverage of every single Best Actress race, including 3, as I mentioned, with Fritz here, 49, 89, and 2018. Highly recommend the 2018 one if you want more Glenn as I process my trauma of that year. That's And the Runner Up Is on all platforms. And to keep up with the world according to Glenn on social, follow The Glenn Pod everywhere. Rate, review, and follow on all platforms. And with that, I will bid you all adieu.